Okay, so I'm gonna sound super repetitive here to begin. This tournament was awesome. I love this NDT. The hospitality, the debates, the judging, everything was great. A special thanks to all the folks on the Minnesota debate team and obviously DCH for running a great tournament and doing a lot of really annoying and sort of unappreciated work behind the scenes. The judges, we've had all of you except, we've known of you, we've had some of you a lot, but we seriously appreciate all the efforts that you put into judging debates and advancing the community, and it does not go unnoticed. I obviously would not be here without my parents' support of this weird esoteric activity that they didn't understand. It required a lot of faith for them to keep letting me do this activity. In high school, when my GPA was like 2, and I was like, don't worry, I'll get into college. I can do this debate thing. It worked out like barely, but yeah, it was a close one. And they've provided immense emotional and otherwise support that is meant a ton. High school coaches were huge. I had 2. I was sort of in a similar situation to Nathan. I had one coach, Mikey, who's like coached me as a novice. And then my coach, Courtney Shower, who is here, she did so much work and so much admin stuff with a school that didn't care about the debate team at all, and for like next to no money, got us to the TOC, and it was awesome. So I owe everything to my ability to do that in in high school. Some of my old lab leaders, Katie Jerpin, Will Repko, Dave Strauss, Tyler Thur, were my first lab leaders at camp, and took me from like a really bad debater to like a little bit, like a really bad debater who like knew what to do to try and get better. Sean Kennedy, Dylan Quigley at the Dartmouth camp, and then at my senior year at HSS, Will Repko, Bill Batterman, Dave Strauss, Jordana Sternberg, my boss, and JP were instrumental in taking me from a really bad K debater to at least not a K debater. All my current coaches, obviously, and past. Donnie did so much on the emissions topic, and his files still do a lot of heavy lifting, as evidenced by the last debate. Theo never coached us, but has been instrumental to like the Kentucky team culture. Fucking amazing guy. Amar, like, I think that Truth probably cuts the most cards out of anyone, but like Amar is probably a close second, because I still don't know what's in all of the trade neg. It's like definitely just like thousands of cards. Every time someone broke a new trade off, he would just like, it's like, oh yeah, I got the Pakistan sanction. It's pretty good. I'll never understand where everything is, and that resulted in losing a couple trade debates. Sorry, but Lee Michalski was so supportive last year and has been super kind this year. Lincoln, who's just done an immense amount and has helped refine my strategizing, which was like one of the biggest things that sort of helped me improve. And obviously Dave for recruiting me to UK after I wasn't really sure if I was going to go to college and was debating at the Glenbrooks, and Donnie judged me and referred me to Dave, and I didn't even meet Dave until I had already accepted at Kentucky. So it was like a really, it was a process that I did not expect would work. The people in the Marine Corps at OST Lexington, Ura, Captain Eichler, my officer selection officer, all my friends back home, Sam Mulvaney got me into debate by taking me to a meeting in 8th grade and talking about aliens. My former partner, Ian Dill, who supported me when I was just like a total dick, and helped me get a lot better at debate, traveled with me everywhere. Obviously, everyone in the Kentucky debate team, Truth already did the exhaustive shout out. Everyone's just been so helpful, so selfless with their time in organizing and helping everything. Georgia RS, like, nobody doesn't like these guys. They're just like amazing at the activity. They're so kind. And then, obviously, it's just like Truth. Seriously, it's just like, most neg debates I would not win without Truth, because like my 2 NCs are like often pretty rambly, and like I almost always go for the 1 and R, and like, really no one cuts even close to as much cards. It's just like the fact that we had so many new apps, the fact that they're all like 5 megabytes, which is a lot. It's just, it's mind-boggling. It's like, because I live with him in the same apartment, and every time I go into the living room, he's like, Dude, I just cut the best Space Coal Fields card from 19. And last but not least, my girlfriend Ruby, who is awesome and been super supportive to me. I don't think I left out anyone. I'm sorry for that being rambly, but let's give the speech. Okay, the ex-ante CEA's counterplan. The necessary and proper counterplan. Advantage 1 and advantage 2. I'm gonna flip this around. Did you both get it?
Yes.
Are we all good to go? Great. The counterplan definitely solves the whole case as an ex-ante-CEA, so instead of immediately fiating both ends of the CEA process, Congress passes a broad authorization bill that gives the president implementation guarantees to do whatever he wants in the areas of the APS treaties. Then the executive uses that authority to enact all the same treaty provisions as the plan. Air negative, they cannot quantify an impact to a solvency deficit. The halfway evidence from the one and C is phenomenal and says that solves just as well as the one I see. The first argument is permutation due with the links to the net benefit because the counterplan just provides the authorization ability for the president, but the permutation and the combination of the plan restricts the executive's authority, which is going to be in a second on the links to the net benefit argument. Permitted the counterplan either links or toward net benefits through congressional interference or severs the plan's statutory restriction. Severance is a VI. Proves the topical plan should not happen against the negative of moving target. The plan must contain a statutory restriction or they were not topical to begin with. The counterplan competes for 3 big reasons. First is that it does not restrict executive power. The counterplan actually expands executive power in this area. The president now has more options in the area of authority to use nuclear weapons. He can take it literally any direction he wants and lock it into law. That's the halfway evidence from the one and C. Second is that the counterplan does not curb discretion or set any limits. That's Bradley and Goldsmith 18 Congress tax he is the president does not negotiate an extended agreement in specific terms of Congress for approval. Congress provides the president general authorization of the president in here so her broad discretion. Can negotiate, conclude, or ratify one prominent basis for ex-NDT is that an MDA, the statute gives the president unfettered discretion to make agreements with any nation according to his or her conception of national events, whatever, or returning to Congress. Most statutory authorizations for ex-NDT is certainly open-ended. They give the president significant discretion to make agreements that bind the U.S. under international law without further congressional review, even though it's restricted as to confine within limits. That's American Heritage Dictionary. Should get keep it confined within limits to keep her confined within limits. Restriction on executive power means taking away discretion. That's Parker 20. That main object is to place a restriction on the executive power to take away the right to exercise his or her discretion. Third is that the counterplan statute contains no restriction and enables an independent external restriction through international law chosen by the president. Statutory modifies restriction in the topic. The restriction itself must be in the statute. Topical restrictions must be in the statutory language. That's Kirchner. Statutory restrictions as used to mean statutory language that restrict the president's powers. The statutory restrictions date back to the first Congress and continue today. The counterplan statutory involvement is only to authorize the president, not restrict him. Bradley. And then Goldsmith 18. The next anti-CEA's process required only the legislature of congressional statutory approval to authorize the president to make agreements for the restriction to be in the legislation. The plan must be an ex post CEA critical and educational distinction from the counterplan. That's Harrington 16 ex-ante. Agreements operate pursuant to pre-existing authority of the president. The use of that authority to negotiate a concluding agreement of no further congressional action is necessary. Ex post the president submits to both branches of Congress that passes the approval of over near domestic legislation. The process are dramatically different. The next argument is that links to war powers. That is entirely wrong. The counterplan preserves the president as the final decision maker, leaving his authority entirely unfettered, which is the halfway evidence from the one is he ex post congressional involvement interferes in each agreement links to the dissent and turn solvency. That's Galbraith 12 ex-ATC is held obviously uphill to the president once Congress passes a single authorizing statute. The executive branch can ensure CEAs without returning to Congress by Congress or ex post. CEAs can involve individuals' consideration of each negotiated agreement and take far more time and effort. Or 1 and C, solvency author says that it simultaneously avoids impinging on presidential authority. That's Harrington in 16. The lack of congressional involvement during the process, which makes negotiating so much easier for the executive, represents a radical change from the level of oversight that Congress previously conducted, which provided none of the broad open-ended time unlimited grants of authority from Congress to the president we now find today. Their piece of CRS evidence is terrible. It doesn't say anything. It says that one person thinks one thing about the president's ability to exit, and the other thinks the other. That's CRS 18. Accommodation disagree over what the president possesses the power of unilateral termination. Some argue that certain congressional executive agreements, chiefly those involving the international trade, are based on exclusive congressional powers. Therefore, Congress must approve the termination. Others assert the president cannot terminate. They get durable fiat, so we do too. They counterplan fiat, so the president will agree to the sort of second part of the counterplan, and there's no evidence that says that Trump wants to withdraw from those in its effects. The counterplan is interchangeable with the plan. That's Gall of 98. The long-standing majority deal with the settled pacts of the treaties and CAs, whether ex-ante or ex-post, are wholly interchangeable, perceived identically to the plan. That's Bradley and Goldsmith 18 CAs. Both the ex-ante and ex-post are interchangeable. It's remarkably difficult for anyone to have the same time to figure out this legal basis for many U.S. international agreements or treaties
produced or received, the other forms of agreement are much less transparent or harder to analyze. Actually, being categorized on the legal basis, the executive only very rarely complains to the public the legal basis for these arguments. Their Weiss evidence is the only card that the plan's precedent spills over, which says only by establishing a comprehensive case for constitutionality of approving weapons agreement as a congressional executive agreement and ensure a precedent for the nation's future international commitments. The counterplan 100% establishes that constitutionality. It's a weapons agreement approved as a CEA. Yes, their card says the president submits to Congress, but that's because it's in the context of a particular chemical weapons agreement that Bush chose to do as ex post. Weiss says explicitly they are equally CEAs and equally binding. That's Weiss at the N92. The chemical weapons agreement was ready for ratification. Bush had 4 options to bring the agreement into force, each which would require create a binding condition for the U.S. under international law. First, he might submit it as a treaty. The second, he may bring the agreement into force. The congressional action. The president may contend the prior congressional authorization exists for the president may submit the agreement to the Senate and House for approval and sample majority. The 2 final options are known as the CEAs. Bush generally decided to pursue the 4th. The Senate had protested. Their evidence is about trade and it's a rando at CRS without even a name. So you should prefer our authors who are all law professors. The necessary and proper counterplay. We're not going forward. Concede the permutation. Concede no spillover and impact events means there's no offense they can get in this flow. Conditionality is good. 1 is negative flexibility. The applicants the big the books that they, which means we need options to compensate for reactionary concessionary ground. Second is info processing multiple options. 4 is to receive efficiency of the best answers, which is the most real world. Increase the debate. Focus the debate. Increase the critical thinking. 3rd, logic proving the counterplay backs and the plan's good. Logic always begins key to making a portable skill meaningful. 4th is ideological flexibility. Only way to rededicate and counterplay in the same round. Alternatives result in community schisms. 5 skews are inevitable because of G violations and disads. They should have to defend opportunity cost to any other interpretation. And so it's the after testing theory interpretations are arbitrary. That's their argument of reasonability. Our interpretation is what we did. We didn't take planks. So there's nothing egregious about the counterplan. Advantage 1. The affirmative doesn't solve anything. Rogue and authoritarian states could care less about the plan. They abrogate agreements and soft law all the time, proven by Russian violations of the INF, Iranian sanctions violation, and North Korean disavowals of test bans, proven they only care about maximizing power and wouldn't voluntarily constrain themselves after the plan. Realism is broadly true. That's page 15. Utopias about the U.S. lead by example, but no one is following them. It's crazy and realist one as foreign leaders make decisions based on their own country's strategic needs on indifference to America's mentioned leaders, not MC time that U.S. nuclear behavior. The same self-destructive calculation is true. Rather nuclear and aspiring nuclear states nations seek to implement nuclear to intimidate their neighbors to counter U.S. conventional forces. They see nuclear weapons as their trump cards and not follow the U.S. lead. A bipartisan expert working group concluded the U.S. nuclear reductions have no impact. Their evidence does not say that anyone's going to get the bomb. The only example is a U.S. ally who has put it in their constitution that they wouldn't develop a nuclear weapon. The examples in the QAC were laughable. Libya, we already fucking invaded Gaddafi because he was developing a nuclear weapon. Brazil, what's the scenario for that causing extinction? Their Turkish evidence says that there's a Russia all cause that's Turkish. In 18 NATO arms control strategy should continue to aim at to convince Russia to come back to compliance with those arms control obligations such as the INF Treaty, even though nothing suggests that Russia is willing to accept any transparency. Restraints or reductions in its non-strategic nuclear arsenal. There's no proof impact. The Soviet Union, China, Israel, South Africa, India, and Pakistan, North Korea, and Iran all those prove that proliferation cascades. That's more and more evidence. It will be really slow if it happens at all. That's called 13 predictions of how prolific cascades have empirically historically proved false countries that start down the nuclear path are found the road more difficult than imagined. Or lead the majority to reverse course handles. Emphasize the intent of the law to downplay the distance of the instances of events so rare that because this reverse insecurity to economic cost that way potential benefits reversals grown while the number of states and issuing purposes have found the average time of course increases 17 years. Knowledge has expanded pursuing nuclear weapons will strain relations. This undermines nuclear projects. U.S. security assurances have empirically reduced proof that Iran will not leave the nuclear deal. Our evidence says the only scenario where they would do that is if Europe stopped giving the amount of money under the JCPOA that Iran is required to continue developing peaceful nuclear weapons. They're not going to do that, which is what our evidence says. If there would be intervention, it would be a Stuxnet-like intervention, not a nuclear war, which is proven by what happened in 2011. Their every evidence is garbage. It's a theoretical physics professor with a Nobel Peace Prize and some science shit. Their card is full of warrantless stuff like Pakistan will randomly get overthrown. The thing I said in Cross-X is the thing I said in Cross-X of the one I see is this oil chart. I'm going to insert that into the debate because I already read it in Cross-X that most of Iran's oil does not go to the U.S., Russia, or China, so the great powers will not get drawn in. Insert the chart here. Advantage 2, I'm not going to go over the offensive component of the arms control good term, but the evidence says that the status quo is sustainable. AI is not an arms race, but an open and cooperative effort that solves the downsides while maximizing benefits. Arms control would blunt this. That's Kanye. 18 arms races to civilization. AI is not a simple physical link, but a casual concept. AI could catalyze transformation in societies. AI should be recognized as a strategic type of application for competitive just beyond the military. Economics are attractive to benefit. It is important to recognize excellence and cooperation of free flows of ideas. Our model innovation engagement between U.S. and Chinese ecosystems can be beneficial. This collaborative character of AI development of energy infeasible attempts to ban by diffusion. Traditional arms control are unlikely to be ineffective. There's no arms race, no AI military tech right now. Literally no example. Military culture means adoption will be very slow. That's the Horwitz evidence. There is no military application of AI, which means that it wouldn't scale up. And if it was developed, everyone would exercise restraint, which is proven by the development of every new weapon system in history. They've functionally conceded the argument that development of new AI weapons, especially unrestrained ones, deters cyber capabilities because it's a linear impact. The more that AI has control over the cyber realm, the less likely states are to mistakenly attribute and cause the pressures that they say are going to cause nuclear escalation, but there's no broader cyber impact. That's Lontil 17 News and Sector. Daily habitants evidence lack of major attacks, blood, large attacks have dried up. Clapper, shotgun, the electronic Pearl Harbor deterrence should really concern some of large scale attacks. The main identified during the state of cyber behavior due to a lack of confidence in the utility of cyber attack may also reflect norms and deterrence norms crystallized around the acceptable intrusion rather than non-use. This may explain low-level probes. I'm going to insert Google into the debate for the hypersonics impact. Literally Google Russia hypersonics. They successfully tested one a couple weeks ago. They have the weapons. They're not going to unbuild them. There's no incentive for them to do so. I'm going to finish the Lomrani evidence about hypersonic weapons being impossible. That's Lomrani 16 of hypersonic flight. It is harder to ensure the weapon can maintain those speeds for an extended period. High velocities make it vehicle sensitive to change of flight conditions or resulting in instability. Instability can make guidance of hypersonic missiles. Problematic flight paths do not often match predictions. Doesn't cause miscalc. That's Nagabo 15. Entry vehicles are launched by and re-entry to hypersonic speeds are not new. This is also true of existing ballistic missiles. The international community responded with risk mitigation measures, detection and defense systems, and deterrence. This approach will be replicated for hypersonic missiles. They say that the clear evidence says that it's likely, but the hypersonics part of the clear evidence is literally 5 words. So no, it does not make a predictive claim about anything. Really quick, I forgot to thank Seth, who wrote the counterplan I just extended. He's awesome. He won this thing a while ago, too.
Critiques.
All good, Dan?
Yes.
Okay, so an ex ante counterplan passes legislation that then allows the president to negotiate agreements. These agreements have already been negotiated, so how does the counterplan operationally function?
The second part of the counterplan has the executive implement the parts, the treaties as CEAs.
So the negotiation part of the ex ante is just Trump depositing.
It's not negotiating. The counterplan text is very explicit that the Congress gives him authorization power, and he uses that to implement those things as CEAs.
Right. Authorization power to negotiate the agreement, which is what all your evidence is about.
Authorization and implementation guarantees, which is what it's about.
Okay, so but he doesn't do anything with these agreements other than just deposit the articles of ratification that are already in the Senate.
No, he accedes to it's the same CEA process. It's just the order of the actors is different.
Negotiated.
What?
These treaties have been negotiated.
I understand they've been negotiated. The president has not ratified them as CEAs, which the counterplan does.
So your link evidence on war powers says that if there is a precedent that is bad because it collapses all of the president's war powers from 2011. If we went, there's been a legislative restriction since 2011.
Okay,
why hasn't that?
First of all, I haven't talked about war powers yet.
I understand, but I'm asking about the links to that benefit stuff.
Oh, so the counterplan does not link because it is not a restriction. Klukowski is about restrictions, not just about branches acting.
Sure. But the counterplan does the functional same thing as the affirmative. It just doesn't do a physical, I guess, post-restriction.
You are right that the counterplan solves the app. It does not do a restriction. Our authors are all law professors who are very clear about how it is not a restriction.
If just passing a piece of legislation, both of them do the same thing.
Passing legislation that says...
If that's the threshold for destroying all press powers, why haven't press powers been destroyed since 2011?
The plan says Trump cannot do this. The counterplan says Trump can do whatever he wants in this area, and then Trump decides what he does. There is a massive difference, and we're going to answer your link uniqueness
Trump doesn't
thing.
say he does. He just deposits.
We're going to answer your link uniqueness thing in the 1 hour, but you're wrong about that.
Yeah, totally.
He implements them as CEAs.
The stuff on is it just INF not the Dirkle card?
The card, yeah, the end of the card is like, by the way, Russia violating INF makes it hard to do arms control, and then says they won't accede to arms control measures.
Okay. That actually on the counterplan for the Bradley card. You don't. When you say you don't curb discretion or setting the limits.
Yeah, it is unlimited discretion
to
do whatever he wants in the areas of the implementation guarantees that the Congress provides.
Why Trump doesn't just change the agreements then?
Because the counterplan only fiats one thing,
so
which is the same thing as the plan. What are you talking about?
I'm good.